Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. This is the report for March 28th, and I'd like to start off by just thanking everyone who sent in reports last week. I had a ton of reports come in. Most of you guys know I was having trouble with my trolling motor and some battery problems, so I wasn't able to get out on the river a whole lot, and you guys really came through. Got a ton of reports last week, so I got some good information for you. I am back in business and got my trolling motor problem taken care of, got my battery problem taken care of, got a few GoPro problems remaining, so hopefully we're going to get through this before my GoPro gives out, and we'll get you guys all caught up with what's going on this week on the Delta. And you know, I'll say a couple of things before we get into the report. You guys know I've had a lot of problems with Lowrance equipment the last couple of years. I've been in contact with Lowrance and their service department, the 1-800 number, quite a bit in the last couple weeks, and I'll give them kudos with their service. I've gotten really good service from Lowrance. You're always able to get through. You don't have to wait too long before you talk to a technician. The technicians are very knowledgeable and they're easy to understand, and so I'm giving Lowrance credit where credit is due. They really helped me when it came to taking care of my own problems. My motor is out of warranty right now, so I had to replace the parts on it and do what I had to do to get it fixed up, and they were really good about that. So kudos to Lowrance. Okay, what's going on here? I'll tell you, the Delta is starting to steadily improve. It's not improving for everyone. There are people that are catching fish, there are people that are grinding, and the bottom line is it's getting better and better, but it's still not where it should be, but it should be there soon. So we'll talk about that when we get into the report. We'll get you caught up on what's going on here on the river, and then we'll talk about stripers a little bit, and then we'll get into the largemouth. We got the Bass and Badges tournament April 4th and 5th. Remember, this is for law enforcement, veterans, current military, correctional officers, fire department. I think EMS is included in that. If you have any questions, it's the Bass and Badges Bass Tournament, April 4th and 5th. It's a team tournament out at B&W. Call Dave King for information. His number is 415-341-3775. That is April 4th and 5th. April 6th is the Crappie Closet Crappie Tournament. That's out at Holland Riverside Marine. That's April 6th. If you have any questions on that one, call Marlon at 510-691-0586. And I'm going to try to get out to both of those so I can get some information on the weigh-ins and see how everybody did during those tournaments. So check out those two tournaments. Also, the San Joaquin Bassmasters Youth Fishing Club, we talked about it last week. They're having their online raffle. This is their one of their annual fundraisers. The raffle is going to be held 4/30. And the last date to buy tickets is 4/29. If you have any questions, call Cam at 209-502-0258. There's going to be some great prizes that you can win in the raffle. And remember, this is a youth fishing club. So for those of you, whether you're in the Manteca area, Stockton, Sacramento, Fresno, Bay Area, support your local youth high school teams and fishing clubs. We need to do that to get these young people out on the river and teach them how great fishing could be. So support those guys. If you've been wondering about Christian Ostrander, I got a call from Christian this week. I'll give you a little update. He is in between his Toyota MLF tournaments. He's been down in Florida. He had a little run of bad luck last week. I'll tell you what happened. He, down in Florida, having a good time fishing, he decided to fish one of the opens down there, 2-day tournament. Went out, had a nice bag the first day. I believe he was in third place. Went out the second day. It was one of the lakes that has locks on it. Went through the locks, went up to his spot, pulled a bigger bag the second day, started to come through the locks, and something went awry with the locks. They couldn't open them, they couldn't close them. He was stuck on the upper part of the lake till dark. wasn't able to get in to do the weigh-in. He had to DQ and probably lost out on a big paycheck. So bad luck for Christian there, but guess what? He's fishing that MLF circuit, the Toyota circuit. 3 tournaments behind him. He's sitting in 9th place out of about 270 anglers, and they take the top 9 and send them to the elites. So hopefully Christian's going to be able to keep that streak up with the MLF tournaments coming up, and we'll see him in the elites here. Christian will be back in town this Monday, and he's going to be guiding here on the Delta for a week or two. So those of you who want to maybe get out and fish with Christian here on the Delta, pick up some information from Christian, have a great day on the water. I'll put Christian's number up in the remarks. So Christian will be back in Monday for a couple of weeks. If you guys have time, you want to get out with him, give him a call. Last but not least, for all those of you who were out at the Bass Hole Swap Meet, I know you guys had a good time, and I think the real winners out there this week were maybe not the vendors, and there's probably 20 to 25 vendors, a lot of great stuff, but I think the real winners were the guys that were shopping. There were some great deals, whether you were looking for really high-end gear or just bargain basement prices. I know some guys that got some nice rods and reels, great plastics out there, some great swim baits were floating around. I want to thank everybody that was out there and stopped to talk to me. For all you guys that sent me reports through the Bass Hole last Sunday, thanks very much. And I can say that, boy, out of all the reports that I've gotten a ton of reports from Rob. I've talked to Alan Fong. I have been out a couple days this week. I've talked to people on the water. I've talked to people at the dock. All the reports, they all pretty much coincide. And again, the fishing is getting better and better, but the consistency has not been what it should be. And let's start off with stripers. The stripers are in the system again. A lot of you guys that think stripers this time of year, you're thinking Sacramento River, Liberty. I told you I did talk to Alan Fong. Alan's fishing down in the Central Delta. He says that the North, Liberty Island, Sacramento River in there is still a little bit muddy, and it's tough fishing. And a telltale sign, if Alan is down in the Central Delta, it's probably telling you shouldn't be up north, because if there was anything going on, Alan would be up there. He did report there's a school of stripers around 3 Mile Island, 3 Mile Slough, and right there in the Sacramento River. So if you're going to fish that area, I would say stay in the 3 Mile Slough area and maybe down towards Pittsburgh in that area. I think it's cleared up a little bit. At least there's some fish in there. There are stripers in the Central Delta. Still a lot of small fish. The guys around Paradise that are bait fishing are getting limits. They're having to work for them. Most of those fish are just barely keeper. The guys that are catching the bigger fish, they all say one thing: you want to be out there right at dark, an hour before the sun goes down. You throw some wake baits, you're liable to get a nice, double-digit fish. Several 10 to, I'll say, 13, 14-pound fish. Those nice, good-sized fish. They're in the system, but there's not a lot of people fishing for them, and it's not all a big go. You got to go out there and work for them, but they're in the system. Along with that, there's been reports of tons of sea lions, especially up around Tower Park. If you're going up that way, evidently the sea lions must be chasing a school of stripers up the McCallum. So anywhere around the McCallum, Tower Park, down into White Slough, there's just a ton of sea lions in there. I have not seen a bunch of sea lions in the Central Delta, but they're around. Okay, what else do we have? Let's get into the largemouth, and I can give you a lot of reports on that, but I'm just going to condense everything into one report. I'll say Thursday, Friday, Saturday, as soon as I told you that my trolling motor went out and I was having problems, I couldn't get on the water, everyone started sending me reports. Man, the fishing was great. I got a report Sunday when I was at the swap meet that a tournament out of lads had a 26 or 27-pound bag to win the tournament. I've heard that 2 or 3 times this week, so I'm pretty sure it's straight up. That's a big bag, and what that's doing is it's showing the potential of the Delta. Now, if you haven't been on the Delta, I'll tell you the water temperatures 60 to 62 pretty consistently. They may even touch 63, 64. I know we're going to get a little rain. It shouldn't be a cold rain. We're going to get some sun. So within the next week or so, we're going to be right in that 65-degree water temperature. It is clearing up. It's still a little cloudy down south. Out north, like we said, it's tough up around Liberty, but the entire central delta is looking good where I have been out there. 4 to 5 feet of visibility. The vegetation, the surface vegetation is in great shape. As I talked to the guys that were spraying, they're real happy with just the overall delta health as far as vegetation. They think they have the surface vegetation where it should be. It's controlled. It's not overly, it's not going to clog anything up, but there's enough of it out there right now that if you're punching, you've got plenty of stuff to punch, surface vegetation to punch. There's a lot of good duckweed to frogfish in, and it's shaping up like a really, really good spring and summer this year on the Delta. The subsurface vegetation is fresh, it's clean, there's not a lot of witch's hair, good visibility, good temperatures, everything is looking good. And the fish are out there. Everybody, even if they're not catching fish, more and more people are saying we're seeing a lot of males in the shallows. They're seeing a lot of females. I was out with my buddy Pua Yang the other day. We were just looking around Paradise. We took about 15 minutes to just kind of troll around by some docks and stuff, and we saw probably 10 or 15 fish just in a short period of time. Most of them males, but fish up to 3, 4, 5 pounds. They're all starting to go into the shallows. There's not a lot of fish on beds in the central part of the Delta, but I'm sure if you got up into Sand Mound or some of those places where they start early spawning, you're going to see some fish on beds. Every now and then somebody says they got a bed fish. By and large, it's not so much who you are when you're out there, it's where you're at and the day that you're out there. It is not a patternable fishery at this time. The pattern is junk fishing and being at the right place at the right time. And if you are going to have a good day, it's going to be an isolated bite window. And those bite windows are coming, there's more and more of them each day, but they're not super consistent. There's more and more fish in that 3 to 6 pound class coming in. And everybody seems to be happy. It's definitely better than it was last year at this time. And the potential is there, but the consistency is not there. What are you going to catch fish on? Most guys, the two favorite baits are either worms or drop shot. There are a few frogfish coming in. There are chatterbait fish coming in. There are spinnerbait fish coming in. I know people are also catching them on crankbaits, but if you want to just catch fish, I would stick to worms and slow-moving baits. Keep a chatterbait on, maybe a lipless or something when you're going past those areas where you want to move a little quicker and cover some water. What have I been doing since I've got my trolling motor? I was out Tuesday and Wednesday. I was out this morning, actually. You're probably asking, well, if I was out this morning, why am I filming here? I had a nice little film, a nice little report filmed in a nice little nook out there in the Delta. Having a few problems with these things. Luckily, I've got 2 or 3 of them. I think I've got one less. If you guys happen to see one of these floating by your boat or you happen to snag one, that's the one I threw in the water this morning. But I got extras so that we're able to get this out to you. Anyhow, what was I saying? I'm still a little bit shaken up over my GoPro situation. Still happy about my trolling motor though. What was I going to say? So it's the consistency is a little tough out there, but it's getting better and better. I have been fishing early morning. I mean the change of light bite, and that has been good for topwater fishing. Problem is, it's about a 45-minute bite window, 15 minutes just before the sun comes up to about a half an hour, 45 minutes after the sun comes up. I've been throwing the Silent Killer, which is that bait I always talk about. It's a river to sea bubble walker, I think the 90 size, the small one. That's been catching most of my fish. I've also been catching fish on rovers or any type of walking bait. Today I got my first 2 bites on a wake bait. I'm using a big Mikey. I saw some big fish a couple days ago, and I tried to pick those fish up this morning. Didn't catch either one of them. One of them was a big swirl underneath the bait that didn't even get the bait. The other one I hooked momentarily, and I lost the fish within a second or two. And what I am thinking happened with my fish is what's happening with a lot of the people that are saying they're hooking big fish. The bigger fish are not eating the bait. They're coming up and whacking at it. They're kind of coming out of hibernation. They're not super aggressive right now, and they're getting caught on the outside of the jaw. And you go to set the hook and you have them on for a minute, the fish rolls and it takes off. That problem is going to correct itself because in a couple of weeks, when these females get real aggressive, they're going to come up, they're going to be eating, and they're going to have these baits stuck in their mouth. The last couple of days, I've got, I think today I had a dozen fish, most of them in the, I'll say, 1.5 to 2.5 pound class. I got a couple fish 3 pounds this morning. I had a couple fish 3 pounds yesterday. Nice size fish. Got a couple of big bites, but just good solid action. That topwater bite in the morning dies off at about 7 o'clock, and then it starts to grind. So with that, get out there. It doesn't matter what tide you're fishing. I wish I could have stayed out all day today. I've got some prior commitments, but man, this cloud cover, a little bit of breeze, everything looks great, man. The guys, even the guys that are out there fishing that are grinding, they have no problems because they know, their hopes are so high, and the anticipation for everybody that's out there just thinking that they're going to be out there on the day that things break, it's coming up quick. So with that, get out on the river, give it a try. Make sure you send me a report if you get out there. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. And until next week, once again, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the water.